Another good resource, it's called AmpScript Guide. Site name is ampscript.guide/fields. Just like developer.salesforce.org, this is also a good place. The good part is this, they have given a lot of examples for each functions, okay, but the bad part is it's paid. So what do you do is basically you search the functions over here, for example field, okay, it gives you proper syntax and the use case and an example, in fact couple of examples. You have a look at that. Some part of that content will be visible, some part of it would be paid, so you won't get to see. But the good part is most of it, the basics are covered properly. So for example, if a field function is there, okay, it is properly covered as a code and it tells you what is the output if you run this code. So that is another good resource that I've found out for you to actually reference. As I said, 150 odd functions, so you can't remember all of them. So good place to actually search for AmpScript functions and other things. So I'm just trying to find out the example that we actually did on Friday so that we can traverse it again and just to make sure everybody gets what we are talking about. Yes, this was the one. So let me increase the size of my screen first. Okay. So if you remember on Friday, what we were trying to do was we were trying to actually extract a certain row set, and we were not actually trying to traverse it, but the idea is that the use case should be that you traverse through that row set. When I say row set, it is combination of one or more rows. Okay. So if I show you an example, this, if I have this whole combination, this will be a row set. This is one row top, and if I search it like this and all the rows are appearing, this is a row set. Okay. So the idea was to actually in a normal use case, for loop is there, you run for loop every time, okay, for each of the rows, and then you do some action or whatever the use case might be, you do some action or perform some request on top of it. So that is what we were doing. It's just that I made it a bit simple by saying that it will be only for one line. We are not making a loop out of it so that we can traverse through it. So that was what we were doing. So if you remember what this was, the I'll just show you quickly that data extension. So this was a data extension we were trying to traverse through. So if you remember, these are stored IDs with cities and their states. This is the existing data, and what we are planning to do over here is we are creating an email template in which we are trying to make sure that we get the data, we capture the row sets based on the data that is in the extension that we are actually aligning against. So this was pretty clear, so I won't divulge too much into it, but this was something where the complexity started. So I'll go row by row technically first, and then we'll try and once that is done, we'll try and make sense of it. And at the right hand side, I've also just copy pasted this. If you see, this code is nothing but this code only. Okay, what I've done is I've done numbering over here, and this numbering is corresponding to the values at each stage, so that it's result driven process, so that it's clear what you can visualize it easily. So let's go through this and then we'll see how it goes. So what I've done is, this is a variable. What it is doing is, with the help of this function lookup rows, it's going into store AmpScript data extension, looking for the column city, where city column equals name of city. What is at the rate city? At the rate city is passing through us with a data extension value. Okay, in this case, as you see, city is Bangalore. So if I preview it with the help of a data extension whose city value is Bangalore, this, in this case, it's Bangalore. Okay, so now if I search it, I will be getting multiple rows, because yes, Friday it was only getting one row. I changed it a bit. So now if what I'm trying to do is, in this data extension, get me this all the rows which in which city is equal to Bangalore. If you can see, there would be three row sets, correct? One row set with three values, three rows, because city is not unique over here. So store ID is always unique. So hence we were only fetching one result. But if I change it a bit, tweaked a bit, just to make it clear, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to fetch city, select from this query, this data extension where city equals Bangalore. So if you see three values, so there would be three rows in a row set that will be fetched as a part of this query over here. So this will throw you these three row sets. This is from same data extension. Okay, now next step. Now what we are doing is we are picking that row, okay, and going to row number 2. It could be 1, 2, 3. Generally it's a loop, so it keeps on increasing or decreasing. It's a loop. But for simplicity's sake, I've just put a static value, that is 2. So what he's doing is go to this row set, pick the row number 2, okay, and then set it in the row variable. That is what it is doing. So basically this is row number 2 over here out of this row set. So put it in this row. So right now your this line number 2 will have this. So row would be 345 Bangalore Mysore. This is the row set, sorry, row, which will be stored under row variable. Agreed? Makes sense?
Yep.
Hello. Okay, moving on. Now what we are doing, now we have got this row. Okay, now we need to do some action on this row. So we started with a row set which was multiple, then we drilled down to one single row. Now what we are doing is on this row we are doing operations, some operations, like in this case at the rate city. This is the variable. So what we are doing is we are asking in the row, that is this one, give me the value in which the column is city. So this is the value of that city column. So this is the column city. So value is Bangalore basically. So you assign at the rate city to Bangalore. Got it? Understood? So that this
Yeah.
is store ID, this is city, this is your state. So this query says go to row, go to the column city, get me the value and store it in city. So if I go into this record, second row record, the city would be Bangalore. So city is equal to Bangalore. And fourth is it does the same operation but for a different column. So go into row, which is 345 wala row, go to the state column and get me the value of that, whatever the values of that. In this case, it would be Mysore. So the Mysore will be as a state. Understood? So that is what we are doing over here. Same thing. And then at the end, with the inline AMP script functions, we are printing that value. Technically, this makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, which is unique. So all the time it was reverting to me single one result, unique result. So there was no row set that was getting created. It was only one single row because of store ID is unique. So that was creating a bit of confusion. So I tweaked it so just to make it clear. So let's go and have a look at this now. Run this query against the AMP scripts core data extension. Okay, so now if you see Mysore, so city is Bangalore. So the row count is 3. This shows you the row count 3. So as I said in last example, the row count is 3 and the city is Bangalore and state is Mysore. Same thing. City is Bangalore, Mysore is the name of the state, and there are 3 records in that. Okay, because the city is Bangalore over here in this data extension. Now let me try it with some other value. Again, it is Bangalore, so reverse result will become the same. Let me select Mumbai. Okay, now the city has changed. If you see Mumbai, now what has happened is, let me do that. This is changed to Mumbai now. Okay, now if you go into this data extension, how many rows will be extracted?
One.
Correct. So over here there would be only this row. Let's say 2, 3, 4. This one. This will be the row. How many row? One row. Now let's go on to the next set. What I'm doing is at the rate rows. Give me the second row. Is there a second row?
No.
Correct. Hence it is throwing an exception in this case. There's only one record. If we put it 1, then it will work in this case. Okay, understood. So this I wanted to actually touch base again so that we are clear on what we did yesterday, because whatever we'll be doing today will be an extension of it, not too difficult, a simple 1 or 2 step ahead of it. That's it. If you have understood this, rest will be pretty easy, to be honest. And this kind of logic is used in for loops. And for loops, why they are used? For loops are used to actually traverse through different rows in a data extension. You go through row by row and do some action on it. So go on row 1, do some action. If the value is this, do some action. If don't, the value is not this, then don't do that action. All kind of those logic which we'll be talking about are a process of for loop.